Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers just exposed the truth, revealing the real culprit of who's at fault for the bad offense line play this past week. And it's really shocking and unexpected from him. But first, before I get more into who it was, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, Aaron Rodgers is now 41 years old, and the Steelers are going to need some really elite offensive line play if this team wants to win meaningful games later down the season. But during the Steelers' 34-32 win over the New York Jets, that good offensive line play just wasn't there. The Pittsburgh Steelers allowed 4 sacks on Rodgers, and he was kind of pressured on a lot of other throws. This highlights potential weakness up front for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, but despite the challenges, the unit managed to pull through in the end and obviously end up putting 34 points and 4 touchdowns, winning the game. So it was a testament to some strong execution in key moments. Now this needs to happen all throughout. So Aaron Rodgers, he's seen this bad offense line play. He's seen the sacks that were allowed, the pressures that were allowed, and he revealed who's at fault for it. And coming from him is very unexpected. You know Aaron Rodgers, he likes to expose his teammates, call them out for not playing well, and kind of put a chip on their shoulder. Well, in this case, he did exactly that. But he did exactly that with himself. He called himself out, said his offensive line played well, and that the real reason was that he was suffering from some back tightness, and he wasn't able to move around the pocket like he normally does, and that the reason why those sacks were had and those pressures were had because he wasn't able to move well, putting the blame on himself. And in all of his years, he hasn't really done that. Usually he blames other people, but in his first week with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he blamed himself. So he takes accountability and is able to show that leadership already in Pittsburgh. And that's a really good thing. He says he's old, but he still feels like he can move around the pocket, and he just wasn't able to do that in week 1. So Rodgers, he calls himself out and puts that chip on his shoulder to be better. And we all know it's not really his fault. Yes, he's not the same player he once was in terms of moving around the pocket and escaping, but still, this offensive line play was not good. You can't put all the blame on Rodgers, but it's a good thing that he did so, because calling out your teammates in week 1 doesn't really do anything. Maybe down the road, you have a private conversation with them, but calling them out in the media just doesn't make sense. So good thing he did not do that, and he blamed himself. Rodgers, obviously, like I said, he's not the same player he once was, but this offensive line did not play good. Broderick Jones did not play good. He got beat multiple times. He took accountability for that actually in his interview this week as well, saying that he needs to play better, and he's learning still. Troy Fautanu, he did not play a really good game as well. He got beat for a sack as well. So this offense line needs to be better, and it's not just all on Rodgers, even though Rodgers put it on himself. So when Aaron Rodgers first came over, many people probably thought that he would be a bad teammate, but he's actually been the complete opposite from what his teammates have said and talked about him. He's obviously a captain, and some of his teammates say that he's probably the easiest person to talk to and laid back guy on the team, and probably their friend on the team as well. So Rodgers, he has shown great leadership, and this is just another situation where he shows that after the game. So this is the real reason why Aaron Rodgers thinks the offense line was bad, and he says the real culprit is himself, putting it on himself and the blame. Now, let's just talk about the game in general, because this offense did have some key moments. They were able to block in key moments in terms of getting touchdowns on a certain play where they know that it's going to be an easy touchdown. For example, that Calvin Austin touchdown, which he was wide open. The blocking was pretty good on that play. There's also other moments where the blocking is good, and if the blocking could kind of hold up for certain big moments in the game, that's the biggest thing. On those key moments, you need that blocking to be there, and it was there. Obviously, the other moments in the game in terms of all the time, sure, it wasn't there, but in key moments it was. Also, the run game blocking is going to need to be better. The biggest thing for the Steelers the past 2 years was the pass blocking. It just hasn't been there. But in this game against the Jets, the run blocking wasn't either. The Steelers' run game was not able to get going. Whether that was Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson on a couple runs. The game plan just wasn't working. The run blocking wasn't working. The pass blocking wasn't working. And the Steelers just need to be better overall. And to be honest with you, Pat Meyer being the offensive line coach, and it just hasn't been there for a lot of years. It just has not been good. Obviously, Steelers fans have been pushing for a new offensive line coach and a new person to step up and lead that group. The Steelers haven't made that switch yet, but the blocking just needs to be better. And throughout the years, just looking back in terms of the Steelers' offensive line, they've always started off so bad at the beginning of the season. And then they start picking up in the middle of the season and later towards the end. Hopefully that's not the same this year in terms of it doesn't take that long to get going. In other seasons, it took, 6 games to get going before Najee Harris is able to break out and have some big runs and stuff like that. But hopefully this season is different. They're able to come together quickly and actually make a difference. The Steelers team is going to need that. You can't just rely on Aaron Rodgers just to make every single throw and win every single game. You need that run game to get going, especially with runners like Jalen Warren, who's at his first time being a starter at the running back position. Kenneth Gainwell, who's not used to having this big of a workload. You also have Caleb Johnson as a rookie. The Steelers have an unexperienced kind of running back room in terms of full-time guys. So hopefully the offensive line is able to get going quickly to create those holes to make it easier on the team. Also, this group has been together now for quite a while. Brock Jones has been with Isaac Seumalo. Those two have been on the team for a minute. Also, Zach Frazier is a new guy, but he's still experienced because he played a lot last season and was all-pro. And then you look at Mason McCormick. He's new, but he's been playing almost every single game the past season. So this group has experience together, even though they are young. So hopefully they're able to turn it around. And the whole thing was the Steelers revamped their offense line, switched it all over. And now this group is going to be the group to lead them back into relevancy on the offense line. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it's not the opposite where they need to do it again and revamp their offense line again because they're not good enough. So hopefully they turn it around and able to get going. And that's my thought in the game. Not just the pass blocking needs to be better. The run blocking needs to be better as well. And holes are going to need to be created. You can't just rely solely on the quarterback to make every single throw and not have a run game. Or have the quarterback under pressure all the time and having to make every big throw. You want it to come easy and the offense line needs to be better. So, one last thing I want to talk about. I want to go through the entire offense line individually and give my thoughts on them. Obviously, the Steelers' backups, they're just not good. They have Andres P, obviously, who's an all-pro and who has experience, but he has kind of lost a step. So, even if the Steelers wanted to replace a starting offense line with him, it's been kind of said by fans that he's just not the same player he once was. Obviously, he made this team for a reason because of experience, but yeah. Now moving over to the starters, because the Steelers starters at left tackle, Brock Jones. He continues to struggle, but the glimpses are there. When he's able to play well, you can see that he could play well. But he continues to struggle week after week and year after year. And this is his first time at left tackle, so I'm going to give him a break here. Yes, he's played left tackle in college, but he's switched to right tackle for 2 years. And had to learn that whole new position. And now switching back to left tackle, which now he hasn't been used to for 3 years. So I'm going to give him a break and hopefully he gets better throughout the season. Isaac Seumalo, he's solid, but he needs to be better as well. Zach Frazier, he was solid as well in this game. Yes, he was struggling in preseason a little bit, but week 1 he was good. And he was a Pro Bowler, all-pro, whatever. A Steelers top offensive line for a reason last season. And he's going to be fine. Mason McCormick, I think, is going to be fine as well. He has struggled a little bit, but he's a really solid one. And drafted in the 4th round, being in his 2nd season, you expect him to get better and better. Troy Fautanu, even though he allowed a sack and got beat one time, I still think he's going to be pretty solid. And just entirely the offensive line in general, I think they should pull together and be fine throughout the year. But anyway, that's what happened. Aaron Rodgers exposed the truth. And that's the end of this video. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers showing leadership and revealing that the culprit of bad offense line play is himself. How do you feel about that? And what are your thoughts on him taking that accountability? and kind of taking that spotlight off the offense line and putting it on himself for the bad play. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, everything surrounding this team. I have you covered, and this is the best spot for your Pittsburgh Steelers football coverage. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and share this video. And until the next time, next video tomorrow, I'll see you guys all later. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.